Hi, this is Christina from Hoopla,
Hey, I'm Megan from Southern Branding.
and today we are going to talk about good and bad swag and kind of how to avoid that bad swag and how to, make sure you're getting the good stuff. So that was a actual topic that was submitted to us through a poll I took on Instagram. Thank you, Jason from BBSI. Shout out to Jason. He's on vacation, so he may not see this, but I will tag him in it later. So
Awesome.
Megan, let's hear your thoughts on good and bad swag and kind of just your overall summary on the topic.
Okay. So I'm going to get deep in this a little bit. I think that first of all, you can't answer what is good swag, what is bad. Like there's no just blanket, statement about it. I think you have to go back and peel back some layers. And first of all, talk about, what you're trying to accomplish. So, your brand, when we talk about brands, your brand is how people feel when they see and experience you, right? Like that is really what your brand is. It's not necessarily your logo. It's the feeling that it evokes. It's the experience that people have with you. So you have to then talk about like what is your why in all of this. Like that's what differentiates you. It's not what you do, it's why you're doing it and why you're different, why you're better. So it's the story that you're trying to tell, and that's what your promo needs to tell. So all of the branded merch that you're doing, it needs to somehow relate back to what that story is. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that, and it's specific to what you're using it for also. So if you're talking about, you've got this industry event trade show going on, then it's asking questions about that. What type of trade show is it? Who's the end user going to be? What your budget is, all of those types of questions. And I think that also, maybe sometimes people think that bad swag, it can be, it's all the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And certainly I think that that's part of it. And we talk about filler stuff and, the things that just end up getting thrown away.
Right.
But good swag doesn't necessarily mean expensive. You can do a lip balm and have that be good swag if you take advantage of what you're putting on it. What the message is. Is it telling a story? Are you making it your business card? Does it have a coupon code? When you utilize items in ways like that, it becomes good swag.
Okay. I love everything you said. And what's fun about our weekly show is, Megan's been in the industry for over a decade, so she knows her stuff. Yes. And I'll be rounding up to 2 years of owning Hoopla and 3 years in the industry this and fourth quarter.
But I've been on the buying side.
Yes. And I was on the buying side for a really long time. So I have a little bit of a different perspective. I'm always learning stuff from Megan, so I love that. But I think for me, to simplify what good and bad swag is anything that doesn't get you your call to action or your brand recognition or gets thrown away. That's bad swag, whether it costs $100 or $1. If it didn't get your brand across and or gets, basically thrown away, that's bad swag.
Yeah, totally. I was talking to you, I said this to you, we talked before we started recording. I was telling you, I was talking to a rep, and so I asked her this. That was what I asked her before we got off the call. I knew we were going to be talking about this, and I was like, okay, so bad swag, what's bad swag to you? So Emily, if you're watching, here you go. And her response was something that has that good swag is something that gives you a return on your investment. So whether that's $100 item, a $10 item, a dollar item. Yeah, what a hat. There you go. It's whatever's getting you that return on your investment. Right. And the key piece that I think all good marketers, keep in mind is it has to tell the story. It has to be true to who your brand is and the story and the message that you're trying to get out there. Another like favorite of ours always talks about it being keepable, usable, wantable, stealable. It has to be those items. If it's those four things, then you got a good swag piece on your hand. And that doesn't mean that it's expensive. It just means that it tells a story.
And, so you keep relating back to telling a story, and I actually really love that. But I do find when I'm dealing with kind of newer clients, like startups or
Yeah.
clients that aren't really super confident in what their brand actually is at
Mhm.
the moment, that's really intimidating for them because they don't know what their story is, and they might not have the resources or time, especially as I'm a startup, 2 years in, and you are working so much just trying to keep things moving that you may not have the time or resources to invest in kind of working on what your story is and how you want your brand to be perceived. I think that's a great thing. If you're listening, put that on your strategy roadmap for 2022 if you don't have that happening for yourself. But don't let that intimidate you either. I think sometimes, at least for myself, I do a lot of self promo, and the way that I kind of pick the items that I buy that are Hoopla branded that I give away to my clients and potential clients is, would I like to receive it? What would I use it? Is it something that I want?
Uh-huh.
I don't really have a brand story. I feel like my brand story is just kind of unraveling or telling itself organically through just trial and error and growth as a company. And that's fine too. But I think sometimes that is intimidating when do you have the time to hold someone's hand and say, let's come up with your brand story? I don't.
Well, so I think what's so interesting about that, though, even as I'm hearing you say that, is like I so clearly see what your story is. Like you look at what your Instagram is, and like all your stories and your reels, all of that, like you clearly see who Christina at Hoopla is. Like it's authentic. Like it translates, it comes across. So I understand what you're saying with the brain story part, but I think that it's all about how you want to make people feel, like how you want people to experience you, and it's that authenticity, right? That's really what your story is. So it doesn't have to be this big, like, okay, I'm this story about what my company is, and it's who you are, the feeling that you want to evoke, and you do that really well. I think that you can simplify it by going like what you just said with the, would you use it? Is it something that you want? So that wantable, usable, keepable,
Yes.
stealable. You think about those items, those four things, then you're gonna be all right, right? So
Um, and so back to what you're saying too, I love that because that is the way I approach every project is, would I want this? You
mhm,
know? But I think the other part of that question, that the first question that I always ask, especially if I'm working with a newer brand or company that I haven't worked with before and I don't really know the ins and outs of their brands yet, because when you work with a client for long enough, you kind of know what their demographic is, kind of what their
yeah,
call to actions are, and what their purpose is, when they're doing kind of giveaways and whatnot, whether it be internally or towards clients. But so for newer clients, I think the biggest question I always ask is, what is the demographic of the
mhm,
receiver, whether
for
you're
sure.
giving it out at a conference or if it's more of an internal project or whatever. What is the demographic? And do you have a call to action that you
Mhm.
want to translate with this piece, whether it's internally or externally? And I think answering those two questions really helps the ideation process.
Totally. And I think that that's also part of our responsibility
Mhm.
is, obviously, yeah, you're asking those questions, but also then suggesting what a call to action might be. Um,
Mhm.
if you're incorporating a social media piece with it, if you're, doing, we talked about QR codes
Yeah.
before, if you're adding something like that. And a lot of people, they don't realize, and I mean, why would they? Like, they're not in this industry like we are, but that when you print something for color process, that, oh, I can make a coupon out of
Yep.
this, or could make this my business
Yep.
card, or like the possibilities are limitless.
Right.
And that's what we are here for.
Yeah. And that's and on that note, I think, because I want to try to keep these under 10 minutes, and I haven't been. I've been more like 20 minutes. On that note, I think that we always reiterate that you should be working with a brand partner, because that's what we're here for. We're here to actually kind of be a consultant to you and give you ideas that you might not know are possible.
Yep.
And we have a lot of fun topics. We talked for a really long time before we started recording to figure out what we wanted to talk about for the next couple of months. And so we have some really fun topics. Megan is going away to a show in a couple weeks in Chicago.
Yep.
And so we are going to do, like a deep dive on her show and kind of all the cool stuff she's going to find. So that's going to be really fun. And then in August, we are going to be literally focusing the whole month on holiday strategy and awesome, cool gifts to consider, because this year, every year is the same with holidays. Earlier is better, but this year it is imperative, I feel like, to get started early, because
I mean, just go ahead and know there are no firm in hand dates. Like, those don't exist anymore. Can't honor them, can't make them, and it's a total out of our control, because of shipping carriers too. Like, nobody's guaranteeing anything, and it is just the way that it is. So that's why we're talking about this and encouraging everyone to have this on their radar now and to be ordering now. And, like we joked about on the last one, like, it's not a sales tactic.
Yeah.
This is real. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But I am excited to go to Chicago. It's our first industry in-person large trade show since things have opened back up. So I'm excited to kind of go and see the state of the industry and what new things are happening, and really learn about some of the struggles that suppliers are happening and what we need to be aware of on that end so that we can better serve our clients.
And on that note, not to be outshined by Megan, I will be going to an industry show in January that's also a very large industry show. And so it's actually going to work out perfect, because Megan's going to be able to tell us what to expect for Q4, what's cool, what's neat, what the state of the industry is for Q4, which I think is super important, especially for the holidays. And then when I go in January to the one in Vegas, which is huge, it's like overwhelmingly huge. That'll be actually really good timing for us to go into 2022, talking about strategy, state of, the industry, and any cool new items and stuff like that. So we are always going to try to make sure we're keeping you guys in the know. And so you guys can really prepare your marketing strategy by each quarter, if not annually.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question for you this time.
Oh no, I had my question queued up. Are you doing the question today? I'm fine with
I'm going to ask you a question. Well, it relates to our topic. Okay. So opinion. Is bad swag better than no swag?
No, it's not. And the reason I say that is because and I actually recently, because everything's opening back up in Idaho, I've gone to a handful of like galas, like philanthropic galas that I bought tickets for and went to. And honestly, when I open a bag and then I look through the swag that's bad makes me think not good of the company.
That's right. Totally. It's a reflection of your company, which just brings it all in back full circle about, like, it's your story. It represents your brand. It represents who you are. And when you do cheap things, like, then that's a reflection on your company. It is.
Should I show that pen? That we talked about earlier? Okay. I have a supplier I work with all the time. Shout out to Brenda from Logo Mark, because I just love you. And so she sent me a bunch of
Igloo, Brenda.
Was that from Brenda? She's the best. Anyways, so she sent me a bunch of pens because I'm looking to do some self-promo pens, as well as the tabletop cornhole. So I'll show you guys that when I order it for myself, because it's really cute. But anyways, she said, look, I have a pen for you. It's not your style, because it's a little like kind of kitschy and not your typical Hoopla, brand. She knows my brand pretty well. She's like, but I'm going to send it to you anyways, because I'm just going to send it to you. And I got it today, and I looked at it, and it totally isn't my brand. And I actually really loved it. And I showed it to Megan this morning. But it's a wheatgrass pen. I don't know if you can see it. It has a stylus on the bottom. It comes in rainbow color, so it's sustainable. The wheatgrass is sustainable. And every time you push it, you get a little different face, which is like kind of gimmicky, but like it's something that, like, I could totally see my daughter stealing from me. I could see myself reaching for it like at home because it's just kind of fun and cute. So my point being is this is like an inexpensive item that if you gave it away at a trade show, it would stand out because everyone else is giving out this.
Yeah. And when you were talking about it and showed it, and I went, okay, but like it's making you smile.
Yeah.
So it's evoking an emotion. And that's what, like, that's the connection and memory. And you're talking about that, and you're talking about it with Brenda from Logomark. And that's the feeling you get from them. So that is the perfect example of what it's about.
Yep. Totally. Okay. I have our personal fun, whatever question at the end. What is one quality about yourself that you think makes you a good friend?
Quality about myself that makes me a good friend. I have been told that I am a good listener. And that I'd certainly try to be like an active listener, and not just like listening to figure out what I'm going to say next, but to really like take in. So I'm going to say that I can be a good listener.
I love it.
How about you?
Me, I would say I think that one of the best qualities about me as a friend is I am a very non-judgmental. Like you can tell me anything personal, or you're struggling with something, and I may not agree with how you're handling the situation, but I'm 100% behind you, supporting you, asking you the questions that help you figure out how you want to approach your problem. And I will never, ever judge you and tell you what is happening to you is, not is your fault, or, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or any of that. Like, so I think that is, I treat all my friends how I want to be treated. And I think like knowing that you're in a safe place to talk about whatever you need to talk about without judgment is like a key thing for being a friend.
So that kind of ties into what our next topic is going to be about, which is going to be a little more personal topic, but it's about like as women, like building our tribe, those friendships, the mentors that you have,
how do you show up?
Yeah, all of that. So tune in for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Till next week.
Bye.